Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It is getting hot here in the UK, I know. Summer season has definitely arrived. So in the spirit of it being now summer, I thought today we will make a really cute summer outfit, which is the Newlook Playsuit. It is this lovely playsuit here that this model is wearing. It's the Design E playsuit. What's perfect about this playsuit? It has pockets. I'll tell you what, the amount of times I go in a shop and there ain't no pockets. It's like we're subjected to always have the handbag with us. We can't just go out with a pocket with our phone and keys. So yeah, this outfit is perfect for the summertime, and there's only one thing about this outfit I won't be making, and it's the tie belt. And that's because, as you'll find out, I didn't have enough fabric. I had this cute metre of bee fabric that I really wanted to use, so I didn't have enough to make the tie belt with it. It's quite compact, which you'll see. So unfortunately I won't be showing you how to make the tie belt, but I'm fairly certain you sewers out there will know how to make a tie belt by now, or will work out you just fold it over and stitch it, turn it through. You're pretty much done there. So I've already actually made this playsuit before. It's on my TikTok at the moment. I used a really cute penguin fabric that I had. So I really kind of know what I'm doing to make it. And there's only one part of the instructions I changed because they don't tell you to overlock at all in these instructions, and I like neat seams. Just me, just like neat seams, can't stand raw edged frayed seams. So that is the only thing, there's only one little thing that I change in here. But I'll tell you where that is and what you're meant to do. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first thing we need to do is cut out all our pieces. So I only had a metre of this bee fabric and unfortunately couldn't fit all the pieces on, so I decided to make the main pieces out of the bee fabric and then the facing out of a contrasting fabric, which I later chose a white cotton. I swear I had some navy blue cotton drill left over, but for some reason just couldn't find it. Also, I've spent probably an hour yesterday working out how I was going to fit all these pieces on a metre of fabric, and it took a few goes, but I managed to find the right layout in the end, as the bees only faced one way. So, never mind. So once I cut out all my pieces, including interfacing for the facing, I moved on to pinning the front bodice to the bodice side and stitching along a 1.5cm seam allowance. On the instructions it tells you not to stitch all the way down to the waist, as when you go to overlap the front you will then stitch them into the seam. I personally didn't do this because I'm just not a fan of raw edges and just sort of uneven stitching on the inside. Don't forget to also press out your seams, and then I overlocked the edges, keeping them neat. So next I pinned the front and back bodice side seams together and then stitched along this, and then of course overlocked this. Now moving on to the facing, so I first needed to stitch a front facing piece to a back facing piece, and it then tells you to roll up the edges and then stitch all the way around. However, rolling up a curved edge without snipping into the seam is rather difficult, and if not impossible, as the fabric just does not want to do this with interfacing inside. So I tried overlocking the edge but couldn't quite catch the curve. So there isn't a nice neat method in my opinion to neatening the edge, and I think it's just down to the shape of the pattern. In my eyes I would have made the pattern a bit more straighter where the curves are, just so it's easier to handle. So once this was all folded over as best as I could get it, I then just stitched it down. It was time to move on to pinning the facing to the bodice and then stitching this down. So I'm only stitching up the front and back diagonal sides and then also under the arm. I am leaving open the 2 points so I'm able to thread my strap in underneath. So once this was stitched, it's now time to move on to the strap, so I'm just folding this over and then stitching it down. And then trim the edges, and then I got my loop turner and turned my strap through and then pressed it down. Now I am threading that strap through the bodice and facing and creating a couple stitch lines over the top to secure it in place. So once both straps are in, I just trim the edges and press this down, and then it doesn't say to do this on the instructions, but I just top stitched all the way around to give it a more professional finish. So I'm just going to overlap the front and back and create a quick tacking stitch just to keep them in place, and that is our bodice virtually done. Moving on to the shorts, I first need to insert the pockets, so I just pinned the pocket and the front short and stitched this down, pressed it open, and then of course overlocked it. It doesn't tell you to do an understitch in the instructions, but I always do to ensure that the pocket isn't peeking through to the front. And then once you've done all this, you go ahead and top stitch that pocket edge. Next, I folded the pocket over and pinned the bottom of the pocket bag together, and then stitched this edge. And then I overlocked it. So I did a quick tacking stitch on the waistline to keep the pocket bag flat, and then also on the side seam as well. Next is to stitch the 2 front panels together and then the 2 back panels together. So I just went ahead and pinned this curve and then taken it to my sewing machine to be stitched, and then overlocked the edges. So now I'm just pinning the side seams and the crotch area, and I'll go ahead and stitch this and overlock it. Somehow lost the footage of me stitching and overlocking, so hope you can see from this clip which areas I am stitching. So they do the hem of the shorts in the instructions last. However, I'm going to go ahead and do this now to make my life easier. So I'm just rolling up 1 centimetre and then 1 centimetre again, as this is my desired length, and then top stitching this down. Now to attach the shorts to the bodice, so I'm just pinning this all the way around, and the 2 fitted perfectly, so that's always a bonus. Then in the instructions they tell you to stitch a 1.5 centimetre seam allowance. As I have a wider elastic, I'm stitching at 2 centimetres. And then I stitch close to the raw edge. I followed the fit of my sewing machine, but also remember to leave a small gap open so that you can thread your elastic through. So now go ahead and thread that elastic through. One thing to note is that it can get caught in the overlaps of the bodice and pocket, so it does take a few attempts. Also measure the elastic on yourself beforehand, and also make sure you can stretch the elastic over your hips, as this is your widest point. Now go ahead and stitch your elastic together, cut off any excess, and then close that gap. And then I also overlock the edge of the seam. Now last thing I'm going to do, which isn't in the instructions, is to stitch down the overlap on the front and back. On the front it's near my bust area, as this garment does gape open and I like to feel secure. So I'm just stitching along where I've top stitched just to hide that little tacking there. And that is this playsuit all done. It is super cute and super easy to make, and I love the print on this one, and the fact that it has pockets, because us women never get pockets, is just brilliant. It is also perfect for summer and easy to slip on and off. So thank you for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and also hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content just like this. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I also have a Patreon where I post behind the scenes and exclusive content just for you to get your hands on. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one.